Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 879. And in today's session, my intention is to be able to get our minds and our body in the right place, to be able to make some changes today. That what we do today in this moment can allow us to start to create, allow us to start to have the life that we want, to be able to crush our fears, learn from them, evolve because of them, and then step into passion, purpose to be the person we really desire and get the results that we really, really desire, and in my opinion, that you deserve. So as all things in every single way, we have to be very, very conscious of what is happening. Our environment is showing up right now, maybe, that our life is not exactly how we want it, no matter how big or how small. Maybe it's small anxiety, worries, or doubts, whether it's big ones or big debt, whatever it is, bad relationships. We shouldn't ignore them. We should actually pay attention to them, because when we pay attention to that resistance, the resistance that is happening in our external world, we're becoming also conscious of the internal resistance on how we hold our model of the world. So it's a clue that leads us back to ourselves to be able to go, okay, I need to make some changes. I want to be able to take responsibility for who I am right now. I want to be able to look after my future self, that when I get into the future, I'll be so pleased because the work that I did today allowed me to have the freedom tomorrow and every day beyond that. So firstly, I want you to know that wherever you are right now, it is not fixed in stone. It is not who you are. It is just what you're presently experiencing. And if you're just presently experiencing whatever symptoms and issues you are, be at peace, for they will pass. They will move forward, especially when you start to, as I said, take responsibility for this present moment. You see, although you don't see it in yourself, you have the ability, you have the potentiality to be able to grow because of this. I've said it time and time again, the only reason I am doing what I'm doing today, from the podcast to my app, to my program, to speaking gigs, or having written a book, all of those things, is because my issues made me get into this. My dread and anxiety and my fear, my worries and doubts, the blushing, the thoughts of not being enough and being found out for not being enough, all were the catalyst that made me wake up to go, this is something that I cannot keep on doing, that I cannot keep on running the same programs that I have acquired and learned because of those significant events that I went through. Because if I stayed the same, I'd be doing a job I hated. I wouldn't be helping people, which is my intention, and hopefully that I am. I would not be where I am today. So somewhere in the darkness, in that contrasting experience, there is a possibility that you can utilize it as a fuel to move you forward. It's not always about just going through the positive. It's not always just focusing on that. Now, that is my ideal, but sometimes we've got to use what we've got. So if you've got fear, use it. If you've got that a bit of anger because of your situation, use it. Use whatever you have got right now to take a stand for what is right. What is right for yourself, what is right for your future. If you have family, right for your family, right for your career, your job, your business, your relationships, your children, your health, your pet. Like, do it because it's right, knowing that on the other side of this present fear that you're going through, on the other side of the issue that you're experiencing, is the opposite experience, where that resistance no longer holds you back, where that resistance what made you wake up, but also liberated you to be so much more than you could ever imagine. It is hard to see at times because we are looking through the eyes of the present situation. We're looking through the eyes of stress. We're looking through the eyes of betrayal. We're looking through the eyes of anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, frustration. All of those emotions can weigh us down. But even if we are presently viewing the world as that lens, it is still a subjective lens, and you can push and move through it. And not to be like, oh, it's going to be easy, because it's not always going to be easy. It doesn't have to be crazy hard, on the contrary as well. See it as a challenge, that maybe this pain that we're going through is an opportunity to be more. Maybe this present circumstance, like my one, it was an opportunity to grow because of it. Now, even if that's not true, if that's not reality, what if it was a convenient assumption? That you assume the convenient assumption that what I'm going through right now is an opportunity to learn and grow. Is it going to hurt or harm you? Is it going to hold you back? Or is it going to cause you to take a narrative different from the pain, and one that is actually going to move you? You see, a lot of the things that I say aren't real. Now, because it's just my belief system, it's just based on my experiences of having gone through what I've gone through, having worked with people for the last 22 years. And it's still subjective, right? From all the books, every book is a subjective viewpoint. Even when it comes to science to a degree, because there is a subjective viewpoint or beginning place where they have an expectation to then investigate to see if that, can't think of the right word, but if it's a true thing or not, like they test it. So that viewpoint where we are right now, remember, it is also in the same notion, an illusion. Like we may have all this stuff showing up, but if we start to learn from different ideas, to have a different way of thinking that created the issue, a different way of thinking on the contrary of the pain that we're going through, because that pain can lead us to what we want, right? Because if everything is just fine and normal, everything is fine and normal. Only through that contrasting experience can we actually go, I don't like this. I don't want to experience this scarcity anymore. I don't want to experience the imposter syndrome or depression or anxiety or whatever the issue is. This feeling that we have that is of a dislike, which isn't, in other words, like congruent to what is on our heart. It doesn't fulfill us. It doesn't allow us to be the person that we want to be. We can utilize that, because it can tell us what we do want. So if you have an issue in your mind, or if you've had this resistance throughout your life, or a narrative that life is bad, or you're not worth it, you're not deserving, you're not good enough, if you have that, use it to have the opposite viewpoint, even if you do not believe it. The first step is to change that perception. To change that, okay, this is what I've got, this is what I'm going through, this is what I've been through, this is what all the other people have done to me in my life, where it be significant emotional events or even small ones building into this narrative. Even though I've gone through all that stuff, I'm going to use it to show me what I do want. That is the assumption that I want us to head to today. That every pain that we're going through, every symptom of conflict that you experience, every doubt can be the gateway to your transformation. It can allow you to focus on what you do want. So consider right now, what do you really want out of life? What is the positive thing that you want? Even in the beginning, you may go, well, I don't want anxiety. I don't want to feel like an imposter. I don't want to have more debt or bad relationships. Well, begin to have that in your mind and then consider, well, what is it that I do want? If I don't want that, what is it that I do want? Because then you'll have two places, one where you are and one where you want to be. And then as we start to get more clarity on the outcome of what we want, we can start to do something about it. We can start to learn new ways of thinking, because it is just a conditioned mind. And we don't want to sedate the mind. We want to recondition it. We want to reprogram it. And that's why you're not broken, by the way, because you weren't always this way. Even as a baby, even in the womb, there was a time where you did not have this issue. And therefore, we can go back to that place. So I like to think a more improved place, because you have the experience of overcoming those challenges, which gives you insight. It gives you the knowledge and, what I would say, the knowingness, as well as the wholeness. That's something that I think we all need to strive for. I think we need to reconnect to what we really want, even if we don't believe it. Because even if you don't believe it, you've still got an outcome in mind. We know where you are, as I said, you know where you want to be. And then we've got to think, well, what do I need to do to be able to move myself from this? Because we tend to sometimes fall into the victimhood, right? There's reasons as to why I am like I am. And this could push up against your boundaries or your values, but I want you to take it with a positive intention as to why I'm saying it. Because if you continue to believe in victimhood, even if you have been a victim, which is true, but buying into it continually means you can never be the victor of your life. And that's not cool. That's not healthy. That's not being of service to you as a person. So even though we can say we've been through these experiences, I refuse to be a victim from now on. That every single day, I'm going to do something that moves me forward, that the tomorrow of me will be proud of. Whether it be eating different, whether it be journaling, whether it be enrolling onto a program, whether it be reading, listening to episodes, whatever it is for you, whatever you feel is going to be something that's going to move the needle, use it. But we do not want to fall in that this is who I am because someone made me this way. It is so disempowering, and it's easy to see why we do so, because in a way, it gives us a form of validation. So once again, take this with the intention that I'm saying, because it will push up against some people's values and boundaries. But you have to, the reason why I say it ultimately is if you buy into it, you have reasons to stay the same even. You even have some excuses to stay the same because of that person, because of that event. But you're so much more than that person or people. You're so much more than the events that happened in the past. You have so much to give, to live, and to love. There's so much within you that you can start to dismantle that protection of your heart. That protection has been built up because you don't want to be hurt again. So we play small, that we don't let people in. We have these brick walls around us to protect us, but also to isolate us. In the end, it starts to build like our own prison. It may have been like we may have been put into this metaphorical prison based on what we went through and what people did to us, or any experience that led to where we are. But if we stay on that effect side, we're just adding to that wall. We're just adding to build the cages that we do not see. We get locked in and we start to reaffirm it. We start to keep on speaking the same story into our life. And guess what? If you speak the same story that you've always had, you will bring it into fruition. Because whatever you focus on most of the time, whatever you feel most of the time, you begin to seek out the same. It is just the human brain. It is wired up that way. It is going to look for what is familiar and similar to you. And if your familiar and most similar thought is I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm a victim, it's going to just keep on looking for evidence to reinforce that belief system. It is just what the unconscious mind does. It is just how it operates. But the good news is it does it regardless of what is good or bad. Like, it doesn't seem to take a preference between good and bad, only what it's used to, what it's experienced most of the time. And that's where it takes time to move that needle, to do and be different. But once you start to go, rather being an effect of life, rather having reasons for stay the same, I'm going to move myself, shift myself from reason to cause, like the cause and effect, rather being an effect on the effect side of the equation of just living that way of all the causes around me. I'm going to position to myself to be a cause of my life, where I'm in control of my thoughts, where I'm in control of my feelings. I'm going to be the decider of my actions and my life in being the person that I want to cultivate. You are not fixed in stone, and you can be adaptable. Once again, your biology is geared for adaptability, for flexibility. Any condition, it starts to, like external condition, throughout the ages, we've had to adapt to it. That is the evolutionary aspect of all life. We adapt and grow, and you have done that to this point. So it's built in within you. It's just been conditioned to focus on those things. So how do we start to create the new story? How do we start to navigate that system? Well, number one, declare it. Declare today that you are not going to be a victim anymore. You're not going to be on the effect side of the equation. And then start to consider what has to be done. And if you need a cue or a bit of a help, consider the polar opposite of who you are right now. In other words, who you want to become. What kind of mentality, if you was like move into the future to the successful person of who you will become by doing the work, what kind of attributes did that person, that future you need to be? Because sometimes you got to give up who you presently are to become who you want to be and to live and to really embody it. So consider, what are the qualities, what are the attributes, what are the resources you need, what are the skill sets you need? Because we weren't given a manual for this brain. Like, we just weren't taught it. We didn't know about it. We just allowed whatever the brain to do what it's done based on the experiences we went through. So maybe you need to acquire skill sets. You need to start to apply them. Whether it be reaching out for help from someone who's overcome what you're going through. For example, if you have something like bulimia or anorexia, you want to see a coach or read books about specifically that. Now, of course, I've got titles on that, which is going to be amazing, but sometimes you want to be able to go that bit further. If you have money issues, if you've been like, for example, if you've always grown up in life seeing people with bad money habits, well, there's programs out there that allow you to start to save, how to walk off, like they call it, like the Dave Ramsey snowball, whatever it's called. Like, there are skill sets out there which allows you to move you where you are to where you want to be, depending on what you're working on. So really consider, what skill sets does that future me have that if I start to learn and acquire? And it doesn't have to be like you got to do it every single hour of a day, but it takes the little moments, the moments where you catch yourself. When that anxiety thought kicks in, you go, not today. I'm going to start to know that I have it right now, but then I'm going to switch my intention of what I can do to be the person I'm going to be in the future. Once again, you got to let go of who you presently are, let go of the story that you've been going through in order to become the most amazing person that you could imagine, where you think of that future you and you are so proud. But on the same notion, if you go out into the future and look back at your present you, that future you is incredibly proud of what you did today. That you took a stand for what is right. That even in the darkness, even in the fear, even in the emotional pain and the emotional wounds, you said, even though I'm going through this, I'm going to be different from my past. I'm going to cherish and start to go on a journey of loving myself. Because when you get to that place of wanting to love yourself, then you begin to realize your worth in this world, where you start to put more attention on feeding that love to better yourself, to enhance yourself. When you think about it, if we don't feel good enough or worthy, there's not much self-love. So we start to do behaviors which support that lack of love, that lack of self-validation. We go into people pleasing. We go into sedation. In other words, trying to sedate our pain and our emotions of anxiety or fill in the gap to be able to go, it's easier if I just dull myself. And it's a very painful way to live, but it's going to be far more painful staying the same compared to doing something to start to act in a way that is in accordance to that future self. So really, once again, I'm going to go lean into what is that future you going to be most proud of you today. When that future you looks back to you, even if you look through the eyes of that future you, what action, what thought, what beginning step is that future you gonna go, that's the moment you did it. That's the moment you took a stand. That's the moment where you started to move in a new direction, going down a new path. And it's gonna be hard in the beginning. Wherever we go metaphorically, because it's new, it's the unknown territory. But in the same way, when it comes to the neurological conditioning, the synaptic nerves, the brain is going to be wired up to this story for a while. So it's going to take some time. But in the time is a journey, right? Like, you're going to probably look back and go, yeah, I am so pleased I am worthy, deserving, and good enough, or fill in the gap of what you want. But you're going to be so much prouder of what you did to make that a reality. Whether that be doing the quiet work, in other words, when everyone else is out partying or everyone else is on social media, you're doing the quiet work on developing yourself. Where you go to the real bigger one of investing in yourself. And I'm never shy in saying that, because I invest in myself all the time. Like, my life, in terms of my psychological issues I had in the past, they've gone. But even still, I had to invest my way out of it. In other words, to acquire skills. But also today, I'm continually investing. I'm investing into the app because I believe in that mission of the app. I'm always investing in my equipment, or I'm investing in learning and my education. Whatever it is, I want to keep on investing in myself, because it's better to invest in myself than elsewhere. So I have no apology about that. And even if you're not in a monetary experience to be able to invest, it can take time, but we save. It's better than that sedation model of using drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. Because when you start to invest in yourself in the beginning, if it's only time, if that's all you've got, but then saving to be able to keep investing in yourself, it will return in the most amazing way. I see it all the time with my clients. I see it within myself, as I said. But treat yourself like an investment. It's hard because when we don't feel good enough or worthy, our stock level is very low. Like, we don't see the value in our own personal stock as an investment. But in the beginning, every single company had zero value in it. Like, it was just an idea. It was just a thought. In fact, it was a cost in the beginning. Many companies, to this day, the biggest platforms you use have been in debt for a long time, but they believe in the greater vision. And that creates investors. And even if we take that big model, but just apply it to yourself, treat yourself like a business. Treat yourself how you would want to grow yourself as a business. What are the skill sets? What are the departments you need? The happiness department, the part of you which creates discipline, the part of you which is a creative, the part of you which is a fixer of your own issues. There are so many ways that we can invest in ourselves beyond the monetary investment. Like I said, it's the quickest way to get there ultimately, because you're paying people to be able to do it with you or for you. However, if that's not where you are, treat yourself like an investment. When you do that, subtly and unconsciously, you're telling your unconscious mind you are an asset. That there is value in this company of self. Like the you Inc. or the U Group LLC, whatever it is for you. Even have that little kind of name in your mind. What would you call yourself as a company? And then go, well, what does this company need? How do I invest in myself? What learnings and skill sets do I need? When you see the frame of a business, you'll want it to be successful. Why? Because that business, let's just take that business metaphor. The business has a service, right? That's what it does. That's why it's in business. It's trying to solve issues. So therefore it's supplying a certain service. But even more than that, guess what else it's doing? It's probably employing people now or in the future, which that employment or that employee is feeding their family. It's putting their children through college or whatever they use their income for. And therefore it just keeps on getting bigger and better. So think about that in terms of you. When you change and transform your life as a business, who do you serve in the future? Is it serving in your career? Is it serving by setting up your own literal business? Is it serving in helping your children, being an example of what can be done? There are so many things beyond yourself that you will create ripples throughout time, the ripples throughout so many people's lives that will allow you to then go, wow, this is why I'm really doing it. It's not just for me. It's something for bigger than me. Like, yeah, I get the results in being who I, will want to be, but also I'm an example to my children. I'm an example to my boss or my employees or my friends, my mother, my father, my siblings. There's even your pet, whatever it is for you. We all have different elements there. But when you start to operate that way of serving in that metaphorical company of you, you'll start to make an impact beyond just you. So when you look back from that successful you now, think about the lives you would have had an impact on, no matter how small or big. Where it be showing up at work different, where it be making more money because you're in promotions or getting promotions, or whether you're just living and loving your career without that imposter syndrome, and therefore every person that you work with or every customer that you deal with transforms. You don't know how many ways that you can help people. Like I said right in the beginning, I did not know that my issues would lead me to doing what I'm doing, and then somewhere along the way create 879 episodes, let alone all the other stuff that I've created. I did not have any idea or desire to do that. I just want to let go of my own issue. I fell into this because I then fell in love with wanting to help other people let go of anxiety, to I like and love letting go of the imposter syndrome. Like that is the secondary gain of what it led to me. So I wonder for you, when you take that stand for what is right, when you look through the eyes of that future self, of the moment that you made that decision, where that future you is so proud that you decided that, and then you did the work, you took a stand and did the work. You saw things as a challenge to grow, as a way of evolving. You started to make an impact, not just in your own life, but in other people's lives. I've had people who've listened to my work, for example, because of their issue. For example, there was one person who had an alcoholic, or was an alcoholic, so had an alcohol addiction, then became wanting, and now I think become a counselor to help people the same thing. I've worked with people who've become practitioners of change, just like I did, but they did it by letting go of the real issue first. It doesn't mean that you have to be a practitioner of change or anything like that, but all I'm telling you is you do not know what you don't know. But once you start to go out there knowing where you are to where you want to be, and start to take that action, to start to invest in yourself like a business through time or money or both, whatever it is, you do not know the magnificence that you can actually create in this world, no matter how small or big. It's one of those fascinating things where I'm just curious to find out what happens And hopefully you are curious as well, because you're not broken, you're not unfixable. Your past does not equal your future. What you do today will transform where you're going to be tomorrow. So just do what has to be done to make that change. So I hope you got value from this episode in some way. Just to kind of go, look, I need to start to wake up and do the work. At the very least, start to build into that future. Have the mission, the vision, and the ambition. That's a starting point. Even if you don't believe you can get there yet, it is a starting point to create something magnificent. We rarely know, like myself and like those people I mentioned, that we thought would be in that position. No one really imagined it. It's only along the way the other journeys appear. So start this present journey and look and be curious and surprised as to the next one. So hopefully you got value from this. Now, of course, if you did want to personally work with me, now, number one, the kind of person I work for, or work with, I should say, they've got to have the foremost, the imposter syndrome, the anxiety, worry, and doubt as the main issue. The second thing is you must have the absolute willingness to do whatever it takes to just do the work. You've got to be invested. It's not free. Like, this is a fully customized and tailored experience. But what you go ahead and do is go to there we go, josephclough.info/talk, and when you go to that page, you'll be filling out an application form. And then once you've done that, you get to book a time to have your consultation with us. On that consultation, we'll get clear on exactly what you want to let go of, exactly what you want to achieve, what's kind of getting in the way. And then if we can solve it, we will let you know. If not, we'll steer you to another, whatever's the best outcome for you. So, but you got to be serious, and you got to go, look, I'm ready, decisive to do what has to be done, and I want to work with Joseph. But on that call with us, it's like a one-to-one call with us, we'll get crystal clear on that. But you just got to go, look, I'm ready to change. Now, if not, you can always just go and use the app as well. Obviously, it is far more financially cheaper, of course, because it's not fully custom and tailored. You're not working with me and my team personally. But if you go to freehypnosis.app, you've got a ton of information on there as well. Lots of hypnosis sessions to be able to make the change. You get to choose which one you want to do. You can go all in on the big one, but also realize if you're not in the right financial situation, my work is there to help you. That is why I do the free episodes. 3 times per week, I'm putting free content out there. If you're a member of the app, in other words, a subscriber, you're getting bonus sleep versions as well. I'm in it with you, for you, to be able to get you to where you want to be. That is why I do what I do, and I hope that you see that within yourself to go, look, I'm ready to make that change and do what has to be done. But with that, once again, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next one, which is going to be a hypnosis session on gratitude. If you're a subscriber to the app, you'll get that bonus sleep one very next after the day hypnosis, you could say. So many thanks and goodbye.